Yonder, Senior Director for Solution Strategy. Joining me today from the Robin Report is Robin Lewis, and joining us from Macy's is Marc Mastronardi. He is our Chief Store Officer joining us today. So thank you all.
So let's get going here. Marc, by the way, it's great to see you again, and even greater, obviously, to be able to talk to you about some of the many initiatives going on at Macy's. And thanks, by the way, for giving us an hour of your time.
Absolutely. Nice to see you too, and appreciate you having me. And I'm very much looking forward to taking the opportunity to talk about all things that are happening within our brand and certainly what's happening in our stores.
Well, great. You know, before we dive in, Marc, I just want to take a couple of minutes to give a brief snapshot of your career. You were appointed Chief Stores Officer in 2020. And prior to this role, you were Macy's Senior VP of Store Operations and Customer Experience, where you led enterprise-wide store operations, selling and customer service teams for more than 25 years. My God, you don't look that old. You've held a really broad range of leadership responsibilities at Macy's, including EVP of Business Development, EVP General Merchandise Manager, as well as roles within men's apparel, women's accessories, and children's clothing. And then, and prior to Macy's, you held various merchant roles for the May department stores in Boston. And Marc serves on the board of Delivering Good, New York City, and serves as board president on the executive committee of the Fashion Scholarship Fund. And Marc, you also the executive sponsor of Macy's Working Families Employee Resource Group. So Marc, that's, you know, it's really a spectacular breadth of operating and leadership experiences that you've had. And a belated congratulations, by the way, to have been anointed to your major role today. And to that point, can you give us a quick overview of your objective priorities and general strategies and the opportunities you believe you can capitalize on?
You got it. Well, thank you for that very kind introduction, and appreciate.
You're welcome.
That I've had the I've had the chance to play lots of different roles, and I have just celebrated 25 years. So also appreciate your comment. Is what I would say, you know, as I think about the broad strategy, is that consumer behaviors and their expectations just continue to change. And so the retailers that are able to pivot and think about omni-channel are the ones that have created the most seamless customer experience across every touch point. And that is really what we're focused on. I would say, you know, from the role that I have, I look at stores, and stores just play an incredibly important role in that evolution. And even more so the way that we think about our Macy's retail ecosystem. I think you've heard it in other publications, but we think about the combination of physical stores in the best malls to be the most productive off-mall locations, combined with a best-in-class e-commerce platform. That's the secret sauce for how we win, and that's entirely where we're focused. You know, I talk about customers changing, and that really means that we've got to meet them whenever, wherever, however they choose to shop. And so, you know, when I think about the role of stores in that omni ecosystem, really kind of four major categories. And I think these are the roles that stores play in that ecosystem. One is about discovery, two is about convenience, third is about service, and the fourth is about engagement. And discovery, all about product, and I know we'll get a chance to talk about it. Convenience is about making it easy. Service is about, you know, giving you the tools to do the things that you want to do with us. And then engagement is all about our colleagues and bringing it all to life. So it's a really helpful framework for me to think about the customer journey and ensure that we're delivering an experience that sets us apart from others and delivers against that constantly changing expectation.
Well, Marc, you really nailed it as far as I'm concerned. really, you guys have done an incredible job. And so over almost 2 decades ago, Mark, as you will remember, as Amazon was scaling like a rocket, a lot of the major legacy retailers were speculating whether this was the beginning of the end for brick and mortar retailing. But one CEO, that being Terry Lundgren, your former CEO of Macy's, who coined the term omni-channel, which according to Wikipedia is a seamless and effortless, high quality customer experience that occurs within and between contact channels. So Mark, expand a little more on that, on Macy's vision of this omni-channel model. I know you talked a little bit about it, but, and you know, how it is working for you guys.
Sure. So I would say, you know, proud to be my 25 years with the company and had the chance to kind of grow through this omni-channel transition, and really proud that Macy's was one of the first people to recognize that integrating the store and the digital consumer is the same customer. It's just in different channels, and that gives us the opportunity to build out this ecosystem. And so when we talk about our Polaris strategy, it's really all the tools that are grounding that overall strategy is being the best in class in taking out the friction over that entire shopping experience and really making omni-channel come to life. That is powered by an online business. It's powered by really relevant full line brick and mortar stores across the country. And even more so newly starting to grow this off-mall format. And so when I think about the omni-channel shopper, you've heard lots of these stats in different ways.
Yep.
For us, that's a customer that shops 3 times more than a single channel customer.
Yep.
And having the advantage of having a national footprint of brick and mortar stores, and better understanding every day the customer's interplay between our digital and our physical assets, you know, gives us the opportunity to meet the customer wherever and however they choose. They spend more. Not only do they visit us more, they spend 2.5 to 3.5 times more than a single channel customer does. I would say our omni-channel customers are way more loyal. Nearly 85% of the active omni-channel customers are part of our loyalty program. Almost 2/3 of them have a proprietary credit card. And then the last thing I would say about, you know, where we look at omni and all the pieces that I just spoke about is where we have a physical store presence, we get a significantly higher spend in our digital channel. And understanding that market by market and being able to serve the customer within every market in the country through the combination of those best malls, off mall, and digital, that's really how we're looking and continuing to lean in and grow our omni-channel strategy.
Well, you know, I have to, as a kind of an aside here, I really want to emphasize the point you just made about, you know, your customers are spending 2 to 3 or 3 to 5, whatever it was, more with this omni-channel concept of both digital and physical. And, you know, I've written a lot about this, that Amazon finally woke up, and pretty much all of the direct-to-consumer digital-only sites are realizing that they've got to get into the physical world, because digital is never going to take over 100%. And also they're realizing, as you pointed out, that your shopper will spend a lot more and visit more often because you've got that, both the combination of the physical and the digital. And I just have to throw a dart at Amazon. I've been writing about this too. They are not, so far they haven't succeeded in cracking the physical world. Anyway, enough of that. So give us an idea, Mark, of, if you can, the percentage of the business currently that comes through the digital channel, and any idea of what level you think it might reach. Also, what are the various order and delivery processes, all related to your quote unquote service part of Macy's omni-channel? You know, framework, i.e. buy online, pick up in store, curbside service, and others. And finally, which is the most productive for Macy's and why?
Yeah, so I think first I would share if, as we reported at the end of the first quarter, just about a third of our overall business is through the digital channel, and the other 2/3 through our stores. We also shared at the end of the last quarter of that digital business, about a quarter of it is collectively fulfilled, serviced through the stores. So whether that's an order that is shipped from the store or that's a buy online and picked up in a store, but collectively, it's a big digital business and continuing to be an important part of our future. But so is the role that our stores play in this ecosystem that we were talking about a moment ago. So, I go back to what we talked about on different roles. And as you think about the service element of a store inside of the omni-channel world, you hit on a couple of them. So buy online, pick up in store, curbside service, buy online, ship to store, same day delivery. All of those are really part of the service element. For us, that's all anchored in the at your service center of our stores. And so that is a truly a destination at your service desk. It is a growing dedicated footprint. It's an opinion maker moment in our store. We've been meaningfully investing in that space. Today, when you come in, you can do all of the activities that you just described, as well as returns. We get more than half of the traffic of our store comes through that footprint at some point in their shopping journey. So it is really a singular destination that's allowing us to lean into the service side of the role of stores in a bigger and smarter way. I think about curbside service. Curbside service didn't even exist in our portfolio pre-pandemic and born out of necessity in that moment. And now it's a tool that allows us to meet our customers exactly where they need us to, make it easier. They choose the various delivery modes, whether that's in-store shopping, online shopping, picking it up at the desk or picking it up outside. And so we continue to lean into those different fulfillment options and make them easier. We've put a lot of investment into our app to also support that part of the journey. We want our customers to be able to check in and check out as they're in our store on their app. It's also giving us the position to give them their insights on recommendations on product, building lists, being able to reward, manage their star rewards, track orders, check prices. So all of that really ties around this service model. And also all the way to the idea now that is a growing trend around same day delivery. And so we've got a partnership with DoorDash that helps us do that. But the headline here is that you've got to meet your customer wherever they want you to meet them. And that is service at the end of the day. And so everything that we can do to invest in that space, take out as much of the friction as possible and make it as seamless as we can, critical part of this omni-channel ecosystem.
Well, you and I before this have talked about the pandemic and how it accelerated a lot of things that were evolving, and accelerated the moves, like this whole service thing and buy in store, all the different processes to make it easier for the customer. And these are things that are sticking and really changing the retail landscape.
No doubt.
Anyway, I think your 4-part framework around the omni-channel ecosystem is very smart, Mark, and it looks like you are already making great moves with all 4. So can you give us a little more detail about your new store concepts? Yeah,
absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about discovery, kind of as the grounding principle of, at the end of the day, we sell product. And you went through a bunch of my background, but a lot of my years are as a merchant. And I love the product that we sell. I get excited about the product that we sell. And that's why people come to us. And so we want to continue to make sure that all the things that we're doing around discovery are letting our customers be able to find and discover the great stuff that we have available to them. And so part of that is through our malls. Some of that is through our website. Part of that is through our app. And now some of it is in our off-mall view, which is kind of the new format that you were referencing. But off-mall gives us now the opportunity to go where the customer is. And so we know where they are in some of those other physical formats, but we also know that there's places that they are that we aren't. And that is really the opportunity for off-mall. So we think about off-mall in two ways. One is Market by Macy's, and the other is Backstage. Market by Macy's is really well tied to the Macy's brand. Macy's Backstage is our off-price concept. And so we have that both as a store within a store in many of our malls, but also as a standalone off-mall position. And both of them give us the opportunity to attract new customers. They're giving us the opportunity to attract younger customers into our brand, but they're also giving us the opportunity to evolve with our customers, as we were describing before. As our customer behaviors change, these are ways that we can, in a really flexible format, change with them. And so I'm super excited about what's happening on all of them. So just give you a little bit of background. We just announced the opening of 4 new off-mall small format concept locations that we're opening this fall. 1 in Atlanta, 1 in St. Louis, and 2 in Chicago. That will bring our Market by Macy's concept that will allow us to have 8 of them. The expansion in Backstage, as I mentioned earlier, this year, maybe about a month or so ago, we just opened our 300th Backstage inside of a Macy's store. And with the opening in Chicago shortly, that'll give us 9 freestanding Backstage locations. And so one of the really exciting things about the Chicago opening is that that's also going to be our first dual Market by Macy's and Backstage that's opening. It's an awesome location, gives us the opportunity to do both formats in the same place. So super excited about what that will mean, and we'll do that later in the fall season. But if I were to expand a little bit more, Robin, and tell you about what the format role does for us in this grand ecosystem, really think about it in 3 different perspectives. So first is this infill. We've got locations, we've got a mall presence, we do a lot of business in that environment, but there's even more foot traffic and more of a new customer base that we could gain if we could fill into a market. And that's a lot of actually what you see in the Atlanta market. We've got a bunch of Atlanta stores, but there's still opportunities for us to get even more convenient for a customer and fill in. The next thing that we look at in this ecosystem is the role for replacement. And that's where we can have the opportunity where it doesn't make sense for us to keep a full line location open. Might be in a lower tier mall, one that is going through some level of change. And we don't want to leave the market. The customer is still in that market and wants to be a part of our brand. And so we don't want to create that void. And so now having a Market by Macy's concept that we can open as a replacement for what might have been a mall-based store gives us a lot more flexibility. That's exactly what's going to happen in St. Louis in the Chesterfield Commons. We will close a Chesterfield store in the mall and we'll open a brand new store right down the road and give us the opportunity to keep continuity with our customer, but to do it in a new format that we think is going to work even better. And then lastly, a real big benefit as we move forward in the future is where are there markets that are wholly new to us that we have not been able to get into previously with a mall, and now we can come in with an off-mall format. So obviously allows us to capture a new customer and serve a new market. So we look at that all the time and continue to be optimistic about the openings that are happening momentarily. The last thing that I'd share on format within the mall side, we spend a lot of time thinking in the world of discovery, which ones of our stores are used for high level of inspiration discovery and ones that we call experiential. They want to discover, and they want to discover it in a really easy and convenient format. And not every customer wants the same store experience. And every store plays the role of discovery, convenience, service, and engagement, but they play it in different levers, in different ways. And so we want to make sure that we can understand what customer wants us to be able to deliver and meet them in what way, and that allows us to use our stores and tailor them accordingly. So that's a little bit of what's happened on format on Discovery.
Yeah, I've been also talking about this for some time and writing about it. Also, all of these initiatives and formats just move your brand closer and closer to the consumer and where they live. And I think that is the future. And I think you guys are at least a step ahead of it. So I congratulate you for that strategy. But how do you identify new locations, Mark? What are the qualifiers, so to speak? And how do you localize the assortments? Do you use artificial intelligence for this, or however?
Yeah, so I'd start, a simple answer is a lot of science. So, and we are learning and adapting our science as we continue to open and learn from each of these new formats. So, at a very high level, some of the things that are really important, obviously, trying to understand the geography, customer demography, want to understand the number of footsteps, but we also really mindful of co-tenancy on traffic levels, on our opportunity for our brand to resonate with the consumer in that market. All of those insights play a role in helping us determine where we want to go and give us a model. Not the least of which is obviously making sure that we've got a really rigorous financial model that helps us ensure that we can be successful when we do it. So, and again, you're trying to come back and think about that mind of an ecosystem and say, when you are the customer of our brand of Macy's, you want to use the fullness of our brand, right? You want to be from on mall to off mall, from full line to off price. And so we think about the ecosystem, the market, and want to make sure that we have all of the tools that our customer will want to use with us available to them. So that's kind of how we're thinking about it.
Yeah. As you mentioned, discovery is obviously a key part of your framework. And I believe you have, a number of initiatives. You mentioned a few. Can you take us through them? Yeah.
So outside of, physically discovering us as to where do we put the box, Discovery is really grounded in the relaunch of our brand identity that hopefully you've heard at this point, both internally and externally, and we call it Own Your Style. And so we talk about this idea that style is within, and it's our job to help bring it out. But style is really what empowers customers and colleagues to celebrate individuality. The amount of impact that you can have of your personal style that comes through our curated assortments, best brands, latest trends, and that's really important to us. We are making that happen and that come to life through the customer's journey, digitally and socially, through branded content, through new storytelling, but also through in-person expert advice. And you asked me a moment ago of the role of AI a little bit. This is a spot where AI actually plays a really important part on personalization, data-driven recommendations. All of that under the header of Own Your Style to get our customers and our colleagues excited. But I'll also share that inside of Discovery, there's a few things that I'm really proud of and really excited about that are happening within our brand. And so I'll start with stylist, whether that is the in-store personal stylist or the virtual stylist. It is one of our best options to help you celebrate your individuality, to help get through self-expression. And these are really talented stylists. It is a free service in our store to give you expert advice. And most of our stores around the country have at least one stylist, if not more, that are happy to play that role and help you bring your unique personal style to life. But also on a broader platform, excited about live shopping. So we've kicked off earlier this year a live stream shopping on Macys.com that also allows our hosts to talk about style in a way that the audience can get confident and excited about what they're seeing, can drive inspiration, can drive more discovery, allows us to use some AI in our search optimization and our personalization tools to help curate through a live shopping platform something that works for you. This shop to look idea is a concept that both between the human connection and the AI tools are helping us to put ideas together, give it to a customer in a way that they can try it on, touch it and see it. We're doing that on fixtures all over our stores, not just on a digital platform, but you'll see own your style footprints throughout the stores. That the reaction from our customer has been outstanding, and our colleagues get super excited about being able to show you how to put it all together. And then lastly, I'd comment on Macy Style Crew. So our Macy Style Crew program, we launched it many years ago now, and it really allows us to highlight what I would say is our absolute best assets, and that's our colleagues. And so many of our colleagues have joined this program. They use their social platform to talk about all of the product that they're excited about, and the product that helps them express their personal style, to be an inspiration to their family, their friends, and our customers. And so we've got many different tools in new ways, and ones that are evolving, that are helping us really lean strongly into discovery and helping you really own your style.
That's great, Mark. So Mark, I'm especially interested in the new Toys R Us shops, both physically and digitally. And are these concession-like deals, or what is the relationship? And this kind of shop-in-shop concept is the second part of the question, I guess, is do you plan on expanding that model with hosting, more brands in various categories? And also, I understand you're creating an e-commerce marketplace. Is that right? And what is the status of that?
Yes, I say I'm also incredibly excited about Toys R Us. We really just announced our expanded partnership with WHP Global to bring a very beloved Toys R Us brand to every Macy's store in America, and we'll have them all there in time for this holiday season. I'll tell you that we've already opened. Great. We've already opened the first handful of them earlier this month. We'll have all of them done by middle of October. And they're game changing. They really are a very unique and different environment. They've got great activations, amazing brand product inside of the Toys R Us brand. So you'll see these shop-in-shops. They're anywhere from 1,000 feet to 10,000 square feet. I mean, these are really material shops in our stores. They'll flex. Many of them will flex an even bigger footprint as you get into the holiday season, as the assortment widens a little bit further. But all of it is built to advance our strategic vision as an omni-channel retail brand. And that's about elevating our customer experience, both in our stores and across all of our digital platforms. If you go back almost all the way to a year ago, this August, we've actually been servicing the toysrus.com business by our Macy digital platforms and our fulfillment ecosystem, and we'll continue to do that. I will tell you also that so far the response from our customer has been incredibly energizing. We shared a few comments at the end of the first quarter, but our toy sales were 15 times higher than the comparable period before the Toys R Us partnership.
Wow, Mark, that is incredible.
Huge, huge. I mean, it's an incredibly important brand. And in a category that our customers have told us that they're really excited to shop with us on. So, I mean, 25% were new customers to Macy's, and then 93% of those customers shopped other categories. So you think about the flywheel concept of being able to do that in a bigger way. Toys R Us has done that for us already.
And the timing couldn't be better. I mean, the holidays are coming up, and what do people buy for their kids? Toys.
It's a huge business, and so we're excited. To your second question around marketplace, I would say, again, back into the concept of discovery, we're always looking to give our customers access to the best assortment of best brands and the things that they know that they can trust Macy's to deliver for them. And that's a big part of why Toys R Us has been so exciting to us, and why the customer has responded. But I'd also say that Marketplace is going to allow us to do the same thing. So I'll tell you that we're early. Marketplace is going to still launch yet later this year. So not a lot more to share yet, but certainly when we're up and running, we'll talk more about it publicly. But I'll also tell you that, you know, our focus in the early days is going to be in the categories where we have meaningful market share opportunity, where we know the customer would trust us, and where we are not covered today. That's places like pets and electronics and home improvement, gardening, video games, to just name a few. So those are places that we know we could compete. Customers would look to us to do that, and they'll be able to come to our Macys.com platform and to our app and be able to shop on that later this year.
All good. You know, and the fourth part of your framework was engagement with our colleagues. Can you explain that a bit?
Yes, I mean, what I would start with, and I think I touched on it earlier, but engagement is all about the colleagues, and they are our absolutely most important and most valuable resource. So over the last few years, we've gone through this massive transformation, and it's hard to put into words just what an amazing role our colleagues have played in helping us not only shape that strategy and that vision, but then execute against it with the highest level of creativity and agility. And so while we want our store experience to be transformative and friction-free, that also, not just for our customers, but that's also for our colleagues. And so we invest a tremendous amount of time and energy and resources to talk to our colleagues all throughout the year. It really grounds our broader social mission of mission everyone, and it allows us to continue to create a culture of transparency, of shared expectations that allows everybody to align all of the requirements and then execute that vision. And so we've been making very meaningful investments in the training of our colleagues to help bring all of the discovery and convenience and service models to life. And I would just tell you that we've just seen such an impressive amount of engagement from our colleagues. It is a fun place to work. It is special. It is hard to work in retail. It is hard to work in frontline retail. And when I look at the position that we're in, where I've got this huge workforce of frontline colleagues that are led by incredible people leaders that have been well trained and are fully aligned to the vision of our brand and engaged, it is such a powerful position to come from, a coach that just has everybody with them. It's what's allowing us to bring Own Your Style to life. You know, we made a big change earlier this year, and actually even a dress code with all of our colleagues, and encourage them to own your style. If we're going to stand for product the way that we are, get excited about product, then we want our colleagues to be able to celebrate their individuality, use it as a talking point and an opportunity to open a conversation with a customer about awesome shoes, a great dress, I love the makeup. You know, those are the things that really build connection and give us the confidence in the Own Your Style strategy. And so we train against that, and then we've got a leadership team that is not only aligned on delivering the results in our business, but also deeply aligned to bringing our colleagues forward in a way that is super progressive in engagement. So these big ideas, that's what allows us to make big change.
People, culture. There was a former CEO, Mark, whose name will go unmentioned, said to me, and I'll never forget, he said, culture will eat strategy for breakfast every day. That's how important he felt culture was, which obviously are the colleagues and the people you work with and so forth, but also the leadership. And I think you guys have done an incredible job in that respect. So anyway, regarding the in-store experience, do you have plans to invest in major renovations? If so, you know, how many? And in general, what are some of the specific ways in which you would do so? one of our writers wrote an article titled "There's a New Miracle on 34th Street," and he really meant it. And I hope you read it. It was very complimentary of what you guys have done.
Yes, so I did read it, and I very much appreciate the comments on 34th Street. So what I would say is, just like we've done with Herald Square, we are continuing to invest in our stores across the country. All of the things that that need to come to life for discovery and convenience and service or engagement have to be grounded in an investment in the environment in which you shop. So I talked a little bit before about, you know, our model of stores of experiential and inspirational, and so we're making big investments in how to transform those environments through the displays that we invest in, the physical environments that we invest in. I mentioned earlier about at your service. And so, you know, making those really meaningful touch points that are opinion maker moments. We're investing in fitting rooms for them and investing in these LED TVs behind all of them to be able to better tell the story and get excited. So, and then we're investing in the technology. We talk about building a seamless experience. Much of that is grounded in technology, customer-facing technology and colleague-facing technology. And so a lot of what you saw in the commentary around Herald Square, we are continuing to invest every year, all the time, in significant ways to make sure that we continue to keep our physical fleet aligned to our overall brand ambition.
So to wrap it up, Mark, I'm going to invite Erin back in because I know she has a couple of closing questions. So Erin, why don't you hop on?
Great, thanks, Robin. What a great conversation you two have had. You know, Mark, what Macy's has done to really meet the customer where they want is impressive. You clearly have a line of sight to delighting them with the stores that they're shopping in, or digital, or the products that you're offering. So you're ready for the holidays, clearly, but if you look at kind of the next phase, what's coming around the corner? You know, what does the end of the year hold? What does it look like for early next year? We've seen a lot of other retailers that have been caught flat-footed from excess inventory and have actually reduced their forecast for the year. Is there any insight you can share with us on Macy's prediction around the corner?
Yeah, so I think appreciate the question. What I would say, you know, during our first quarter of this year, what we saw is a really significant shift away from the casual active side and into occasion-based apparel. And so we were able to quickly pivot to meet that demand. The shift into categories like dresses and tailored and furnishings, that's a really good thing for Macy's. Candidly, it's a space that we really shine. And so we're continuing to build our replenishment inventory in those categories. But we've also have several initiatives in place that are allowing us to rebalance and align our inventory to meet the consumer demand, and doing so while trying to keep our markdowns to a minimum. That work is really well leveraging our pricing science that we've talked about in the past, personalization and demand forecasting capabilities that we've been building to better understand. All of that is enabled by our data and analytics engines. And through that data and analytics, we're able to improve our inventory placement to meet consumer demand, minimize the markdowns, and support the sales that we're forecasting. So I would say we're continuing to closely watch customer sentiment, really closely all the time, understanding their spend, managing the markdowns based on the level of demand that we're seeing in different categories and in different geos. You know, if I were to say, you know, a broader macro view, I'm not sure that I can make any predictions, but what I can tell you is that I feel really good about our Polaris strategy and optimistic that it positions us as the foundation of where we're heading. And it gives us the opportunity to operate all across the value spectrum. And you heard me say it before, but it's off price to luxury, and allowing us to have a balanced portfolio of products and categories and the brands inside of them that can move and shift with where the customer goes, gives us a lot of flexibility. And so we're going to stay aggressive in the categories that are good for us and the places that we're winning, but we're also going to make sure that we do it without getting ahead of ourselves. We've cleaned up a lot of the inventory that is in places where the customer has pulled back, things like casual, things like home, and are leaning in more heavily into the places that the customer is voting for.
Great, thank you for that insight. Well, we have obviously some new college students that are listening to us today. We'd love to hear a little bit more about your insight for where you suggest they focus on their attention going forward, and any kind of retail experience that you could share. Clearly your legacy and the time that you've spent with Macy's and the work that you've put into it. So is there any last pieces of advice that you could give them?
Yeah, I'd appreciate the question. I'd love to share a couple of thoughts. The first thing that I would say is be open to lots of ideas. The customer shopping behavior and their journey, it's changing all the time. And the more options that they have, the more that and that's not just in retail, that's in everything they do that ultimately inform the things that they want. And so the exciting part of that constant level of change is that always means there's no new job opportunities. They're always going to be something different and a different pivot. And I go back to where Robin gave me that very nice introduction at the beginning. I've been very fortunate to have played many different roles in many different ways. And one of the reasons is because I just always say yes to it. So my first piece of advice is just be open to doing lots of different things. Second, I'd say approach every job like you're going to be doing it for the next 10 years. And I recognize as a college student potentially listening to this comment, it's unlikely that you'll be doing that job for 10 years. But if you put yourself in that mindset, it will drive you to want to be both excellent at it and to be really strategic in how you do it. If you know that you're on the hook for the long game, you just operate in a different way. And so I just encourage you to think about every job you're going into like it's the one that you're going to have for a long time, not it's the one that's the stepping stone for the next one. I'll also tell you, I get this question all the time. It says, hey, Mark, when you're hiring somebody, what do you look for? And I'll tell you that, my answer has been super consistent for almost all of these 25 years. And it's my 3 C's. So the first is kind of like table stakes is competence. You got to be good. You got to be smart. You got to know what you're doing, and being able to learn. You don't need to know exactly what we do in the business. You just got to be capable of that learning. But then the next 2, you've got to be really curious. You've got to ask questions. You've got to want to probe. You've got to try and connect dots that you don't think maybe are out there to be connected. But that comes from a deep rootedness in curiosity. And then lastly, you've got to be a great communicator. And communication comes in all different formats. And so whether that is the conversation that you're having in a presentation, or the podcast that you're doing, or the email that you wrote, or the phone call that you answered, all of that is really around the communication style, and you've got to be really good at it. And no one does that overnight. And so you've got to be a student of it. You've got to practice at it. You've got to be really mindful of did I get the result that I was hoping for out of that communication? And so I look for people to spend that are good at it and that are excited to spend their time and their energy to study against it. And then lastly, I would just say, find a mentor. Mentors are really important in every part of your life, but business side, no exception to that. Maybe multiple mentors that allow you to get a sounding board, bounce an idea off of, get some guidance on questions that you're wrestling with, and then ultimately be a mentor for someone else as you continue to grow in your career. Make sure that you pay it back. It creates an environment that's really important. I'll tell you that I didn't choose retail, quite honestly. I sort of fell accidentally into the retail environment 25 years ago, and I would say that it was very specifically because of an outstanding CEO who had come to my campus in Boston to recruit, and a conversation that I had with her that convinced me to join the industry. And she went on to be just an incredible mentor to me for a very long time. So mentorship, really important, and that's a piece of advice that I would share.
That's great, Mark. Thank you so much. As a fellow consumer and industry lead as well, that is just a tremendous insight. So appreciate that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I would like to add here, Mark, that bit of advice is just astounding. And I think for our young people out there, maybe that's the best part of this entire interview.
Absolutely.
That is tremendous.
I appreciate that.
So anyway, guys, there you have it. From, in my opinion, one of the great leaders in this industry. And Mark, once again, the Robin Report and I personally want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to share your knowledge and all of the really outstanding new initiatives that are occurring under your watch at Macy's. We were truly honored to have had you for this hour.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the kind words, and from both you and Aaron, and also thank you very much for having me, Robin. It's always a pleasure to spend some time together.
And before closing, I want to give a big thanks to our sponsor, Yonder, and who Aaron represents here with us. And before we leave, I'd like Aaron to come on again and give you a couple of connection points if you, in fact, would like to get a hold of her or Yonder. Aaron?
Great. Thanks, Robin. I want to thank everyone for the time today. We at Yonder also see the customer as the center of the world and are building technology solutions that can really help support and amplify that engagement. We have capabilities that span from omni-channel commerce into the supply chain to help solve any of the business problems and disruptions that you're facing today. To learn more about our capabilities, you can visit us at blueyonder.com. Thank you for the time.
So thank you again, Mark and Aaron, and I'd like to thank all of our audience for listening in. Take care.